This is history in the making. Robert Prevost, is that how you pronounce it? Prevost? Of the United States is named Pope Leo XIV. First of all, I am loving the memes. Have you seen the Chicago memes? I am a Chicago man. You are too, I believe?
No.
You're not? Oh, that's right. You're New York.
Yep.
Who was I thinking? I'm thinking somebody else. So everybody's been just blasting these memes off. One of my favorite was the new Pope. What was it? Delivering the body of Christ, and it was a Giordano's deep dish pizza.
I'm not allowed to laugh at that. So,
well, it's like, it's like were any Catholics actually upset about the memes that were coming out like that? There was some earlier today with the smoke rising up, and it was orange for Donald Trump.
I saw one that it was white, and there was like Snoop in a Cardinals robe with like a baggie. I thought that was
the only
crazy.
people that were upset about that seemed to be like atheists for some reason, like leftist atheists, and I don't know, but the memes have been fantastic.
The same people that were upset when Donald Trump tweeted a picture of himself as the Pope at 10:30 on a Friday. He's sitting at home just being like, "How can I get him riled up?" He's like,
Trump said he didn't do that. He was like, "I don't know who did that. Someone did. It's a joke. So what?"
Yeah,
someone running his account for him?
Yeah, they're posting memes.
Oh, okay.
That really is
more than one person probably has access to his accounts.
I won't say who it is, but the White House account is run by like one person.
I know.
Tweets that out. I'm not going to say who it is.
I know who it was. It was Big Balls.
Yeah, it had to be Big Balls.
Who's Big Balls?
So in Doge.
Oh.
So there's been a bunch of people have been surfacing old posts. We've got this one from 2015, Cardinal Dolan's from Robert Prevost. Why Donald Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric is so problematic. We've got Jack Basovic saying, here is Pope Leo's last retweet. And he retweeted Rocco Palmo as Trump and Bukele use oval to, laughing emoji, feds illicit deportation of a U.S. resident. Once an undocked Salvadorian himself, now D.C. Ox Avelio asks, do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet? We have this article from the New York Times. J.D. Vance is wrong. The Pope appears uneasy with Trump immigration policies. So a lot of people are saying this is a woke Pope. We got a woke Pope. What are we going to do? And there's been a few different views of this. Obviously, we've got the Crescentines are loving it. Tweeting out, Dear MAGA, Pope Leo, formerly Cardinal Robert Prevost, demonstrated a strong commitment to supporting migrants, particularly Venezuelan refugees, fleeing economic hardship. He was noted for his special concern for these individuals, emphasizing assistance and integration into the community. He says, here's him saying, J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. He says the new Pope also posted about Trump's immigration policies being problematic. Additionally, the new Pope also retweeted a post asking how one's conscience can't be disturbed by what Trump is doing. Yeah, you get it. The liberals. I love this. Okay, this one's for the Catholics in the room. Atheist liberals are praising the Catholic Pope, and Catholics are criticizing his past tweets.
Some Catholics.
Some Catholics.
Like Michael Knowles and stuff is like, give it time.
We're not praising his tweets, though.
No, they're not. They're not praising.
Why would they
his tweets,
praise them?
But they're praising other things, like that he's a registered Republican, that he, like Mary was telling me, he wore all the traditional regalia. He's super pro-life. Like there's some people that are happy with him that are Catholic. I'm just saying the atheists, anybody that's a liberal is just going to pile onto any smidgen of anything that's anti-Trump.
We're looking at we're citing the Krasenstein brothers here.
They're the worst. Can they just go away?
The kings of engagement bait on X. That's all it is.
That's the point. Liberal grifters are praising the Pope.
Yeah.
But is
that a win?
But the thing is, look, one of the most important things to Catholics right now is the fact that he's pro-life. I would imagine that's that has to be something
they all
that's,
should be.
Yes, of course they should be. But there's people are, Catholics around the world are questionable about whether or not they are pro-life.
I could be wrong, but
they say that they're Catholic and they say they're pro-life, but like that,
they're like cafeteria Catholics. They're not like real.
Well, I agree with the people who are cautioning against imposing an American political paradigm over an institution that has existed for 2,000 years and transcends that paradigm. It's also worrying to me that this is the first American Pope, not because there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I think it will be weaponized by grifters, as you said. Mm-hmm. They would like for our new Pope to basically become a battering ram that they can use against Trump.
Right. Yeah.
And they also want to pit Catholics, especially American Catholics, against their president using this loyalty. using the loyalty card. Are you going to be loyal to your president and your nation, or are you going to be loyal to your pope and your church? And I disagree with that dichotomy. Like, that's a false dichotomy to begin with, but it will be used and weaponized against lay Catholics in America. So that was worrying, and it also came completely out of left field that he is American, because that was one of the main reasons why he wasn't considered a front runner.
Yeah, there's articles.
We do have this real quick. Sorry. This is Billboard Chris tweeted this out. A statement from Pope Leo, quote, "The promotion of gender ideology is confusing because it seeks to create genders that don't exist." And
well, that's okay. That's base, but it's like I think like people don't realize, even if there were a cardinal who were privately liberal on issues of like abortion or gay marriage or what have you, they would never publicly say that. So like they would publicly, at the very least, pay lip service to reflecting the church's teaching on those issues.
My mom wants me to say this real quick. She's like, by the way, he's pro BLM and he's a George Floyd sympathizer.
So hold on. Like,
this is a tweet from March of 2020. March of 2020, we're citing a retweet from March of 2020. Keep that in mind.
And hold on. He blessed the family of George Floyd, which I think is the Christian thing to do, even if they're your enemies, right?
He is not really known for making a lot of public statements, so people are just kind of speculating at this point and haven't waited for a time to like actually observe him leading. Jumping to conclusions.
Let me point out what Billboard Chris also mentioned in his tweet. He says, in a 2012 address to bishops, Cardinal Provost, now Pope Leo, lamented that Western news media and popular culture fostered, quote, sympathy for beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel, citing homosexual lifestyle, alternative families comprised of same-sex partners and their adopted children. As a bishop in Chiclayo, a city in northwestern Peru, he opposed a government plan to add teachings on gender in schools. Quote, the promotion of gender ideology is confusing because it seeks to create genders that don't exist. So it actually sounds like he may be based. I don't like the immigration stuff, but other than that, he may actually be.
Francis said similar things. Francis was outspokenly, obviously, pro-life. Like, these are basic issues that the Catholic Church leaders are at least publicly united on. What I'm concerned about is what Catholics are divided on, especially as an American. And I mean, there are 1.4 billion Catholics, and the vast majority of them, myself included, do not pay close attention to ecclesial politics.
1.4 billion Catholics?
Yeah.
No, that can't be right.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah. 1.4 billion Catholics, and the vast majority of them don't pay attention to this stuff very closely, and that's me too. I was hoping and praying for a pope who is going to lift restrictions on the traditional Latin Mass, because I think that a lot of young people are flocking to that, and it should have a fostered revival in the U.S. or in the West in general. So protecting traditional liturgy, and then possibly one who is quiet, like maybe one who comments less to the media.
1.406. Yeah, crazy. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Cardinal Sarah. I think that's who I was rooting for.
That's what a lot of people were rooting for, but it was unlikely.
I know.
Already.
Did you?
I mean, a lot of traditional leaning Catholics are thinking, obviously this isn't like what we were hoping for, but we weren't expecting the best case scenario anyway. So we're going to be cautiously optimistic or just neutral for now before we can actually observe his leadership.
I feel like last week there was an article out, or somebody was talking about how there's no shot that there would ever be an American pope. Like that,
I thought so.
They weren't even in the, I don't remember where I read it or heard it, but they were saying that's because they didn't want to give Trump any more power.
But he was elected very quickly, which made me think, is he popular among these cardinals because they see the potential to use him against Trump?
That's what I'm worried about. One of the questions that I've gotten all day today is how likely is it that somebody like this could be, or a conclave could be infiltrated by somebody like George Soros, for example.
Infiltrated? In what way?
I mean,
he's actually there?
No, not like he's actually there. I mean, I'm not saying it was going to be Pope Soros or anything like that, but talking about the fact that, okay, yes, there is I think a viable, realistic argument to say that the reason that you would put in an American Pope right now is to counter the Trump agenda, to pit Americans against each other.
Yeah.
But who would who could possibly coordinate that? How would that even take place? You know, what goes on inside of a conclave where they could possibly work together to do something like that on behalf of a...
Like, I mean, if you watch any of like the Ulta, there was plenty of corruption. I mean, they're human. They are not infallible.
There is precedent for it as well, because some people believe the new bishop for the Diocese of Washington was appointed specifically like around D.C., around our capital, as I said, like kind of an anti-Trump figure in the church. And I don't want to speak on it because I don't know the details, but there would be precedent for that already.
Okay, so those conspiracy theories aren't necessarily unfounded or totally, just extremely far out.
There are infiltrators. There are corrupt people. That's indisputable. That's definitely true.
And I think it's always been that way too, though.
It's always been that way, but there's a new character to it now that we're in this like globalized world with globalized communication. And I'm pretty sure it was like over 100 of the cardinals who were voting were appointed or elevated rather by Pope Francis. So already allied with him and probably aligned with him on a lot of issues and his general perspective. I was hoping, and I could find out that this was a great choice later on. I was hoping that the new Pope elected would either be quiet and not comment to the media, or if he's outspoken at all, be outspoken on the Islamization of the West, mass apostasy in the West, and the pro-life and gay issues aside, because that's already a given, and then also protecting traditional liturgy, which is the only thing that I think is really bringing young people back into the faith. In the West, at least.
Well, one of the big trends that we've talked about quite a bit is that young people are shifting further and further to the right. There was a poll that we talked about a couple weeks ago where faith in Jesus Christ was on the rise among Gen Z, which is interesting because it was not about ages. It was about the generation. Mm-hmm. Meaning when you look at a poll that tracks 18 to 29, what you're looking at is an ever-moving tide of people. And so 29-year-olds become 30, they're out. They don't count anymore. And so, of course, you'll end up seeing if younger people are more conservative, that number goes up. But among Gen Z, as they're aging, they're more likely to adopt Christianity as their faith. Mm-hmm. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.